Hey, what up? It's Tampa Brad back at you with law number 34 of the 48 Laws of Power. Law number 34 is, I need to read it because it's a long one. Be royal in your own fashion. Act like a king and be treated like one. So I love this law. And the reason I love this law is because it's one that is very counterintuitive. It's extremely counterintuitive. And almost no one does this proactively, but almost everyone falls prey to it. So what this law basically tells you to do is, if you want to be treated in a certain way, you need to act like people who are that way or that status act. So the way Robert Greene says it is, if you want to be treated like a king, act like a king. If you carry yourself in royal fashion and seem like you are destined to wear a crown, people will assume it and they'll put a crown on your head. So that can be very esoteric and like sure, okay, cool, you can say that, but prove it. Okay, there's amazing proof in the story of Christopher Columbus. So not everybody knows this, but Christopher Columbus, before he set off on his voyage to come to America, had zero experience doing anything involving any navigation. He had never sailed a boat before. He might not have even been on a boat before. He had no experience leading men, and he had no financial background to contribute anything to the voyage at all whatsoever. Literally no experience. He didn't even know how to use basic navigation tools. So that said, he somehow finagled an audience with the King of Portugal. And what he proposed to the King of Portugal is that in exchange for making new discoveries for the Portuguese and for basically declaring that any new discoveries he made would be the property of Portugal and would be claimed by the throne, in exchange for that, he asked for a couple things. He asked to be named Grand Admiral of the Oceans, so pretty crazy title. He asked to be named Viceroy of all discovered territories, so basically the local ruler, essentially, below the crown, but still the ruler of the local municipalities. And he asked for the entire voyage, obviously, to be paid for by the crown. And fourth, and maybe craziest, he asked for 10% royalties of all funds and trade and commerce that was done with these new discovered lands to be given to him and to his family. That's the other thing, is he asked for all these demands to be hereditary and to be for the rest of eternity for the Columbus family. Pretty crazy demands, right? Especially for a guy who had literally didn't even know how to read a map, an oceanic map anyways. And so what he did is he made those demands, and obviously the King of Portugal, because he didn't go on behalf of Portugal, he declined. He said, yeah, you know, Christopher, I don't think it's the right time for us to do this. But he left the door open for future ventures. And what he did is he let Christopher Columbus down easy. He did not laugh him out of the room, nor did he even cut off ties with Christopher Columbus. He wasn't even offended by the fact that Christopher Columbus asked for so much. And what Christopher Columbus realized is that when he conducted himself like an equal of the king, he was treated like an equal of the king. So that's very funny, isn't it? You think that when you go to someone who maybe is high status or has a lot of money or has something that you need in general, that you want to ingratiate yourself to them. You want to act like, oh, I'm here to help you. How can I help you? I'll do anything. I'll do it for free. You would think that people would appreciate that, right? Wrong. Dead wrong. Literally could not be further from the truth. People want to deal with other people who value themselves, especially high value people. They want to deal with other high value people. Here's a big reason why. People who are not high value get very needy, and eventually you have to cut them off. And you have to say, look, look, man, you're just taking up too much of my time. I can't be around you. I'm sorry. So high status people, they actually don't like hurting other people's feelings. So when they have to tell someone, hey, I can't hang around you anymore, typically they can't even tell them face to face because it brings up too much emotional pain for them. It's literally just too painful. They don't want to have to deal with it. So they will just ghost people who are not high status. So if you don't want to be ghosted by high status people, you need to be a high status person. And notice when I first said it, I said you need to act like a high status person, but I've revised it in my head as I've been talking about this. You just need to see yourself and be a high status person. But then again, that's very easy to just say. And a lot of people are in the paradigm of having to fake it until you make it. And that's okay. But I would challenge you to say, instead of saying fake it until you make it, act like a king and be treated like one, could you just act real? Because really, if you look at anybody, there's no reason for them to be insecure. Everything's gonna be good. We have no real reason to have this kind of low-level anxiety that we've developed as a species. There's no real reason for that. So couldn't we just say, act real, act like who you really are until you remember who you really are, until you realize that, I actually am good. I'm actually a high status person. I've just been trained to act in a certain way that conveys lower status than what I actually deserve. That, I should pander to people because that's what I saw people do in my childhood. So I would challenge you with that. Could you, instead of faking it until you making it, faking it until you make it, could you act real until you remember? That's a saying that I got from Julian Blanc, who's a very good self-help teacher who I've watched a lot of his content. But furthermore, on the topic of acting like a king and conducting yourself in that regal or really, high status way, it's actually also not about putting anyone else down. It's never about belittling someone else or making someone else feel bad. In fact, people who do that, who you might think are high status, that's actually a tell that they are not high status and they're not confident in themselves. Someone who's truly confident in themselves just is winning and is doing so well, they just want to see other people do well. Like, they've got theirs, they're good. They just want other people to win with them because they want more people in the winner's circle, frankly. The reason it gets lonely at the top is because everybody else just bails out. It's not that nobody's allowed at the top, it's just that it seems like nobody's willing to do the things that it takes to go to the top. And so as you're going, all your friends are bailing, you want more people to come up with you because it's boring to do it by yourself. You want other compatriots to do it with you. So realize that by acting in a way that you might not necessarily even be comfortable with normally acting, the acting like a king, you are actually giving people who normally would want to hang out with you, you're giving them the permission that they need from, remember, we're all just being driven by our brains, which has biological drives and impulses and stuff like that. You're actually giving their brain permission to want to associate with you. So, like I'm always saying, all these laws focus around understanding how people's brains works, being empathetic to them and being empathetic to their situation, and coming at them and meeting them where they are, but coming at them in a way that they actually like, so that you can really be successful and have people really like you. A lot of this comes down to dealing with people, because the force of, you could call it human energy as a way to think about it, or human creativity, or the ingenuity, or anything like that. That's the greatest force that exists on Earth. I mean, you think about what built skyscrapers. Monkeys didn't build skyscrapers, right? Humans built skyscrapers. And we've done all these amazing things, and we invented coronavirus. And whoops, sorry, I didn't mean to say that. But no, seriously, we've done all these amazing things. There's tons of evidence that human power is the most powerful thing on Earth. We've made so much, it's amazing. So if you can learn to get other people behind you and learn to recruit for your cause, this tool of, acting like a king to be treated like one, that's a great way to do it. That's a great way. It really is just a tool. There's multiple different ways to meet people where they are and to come at them in a way that they like. You don't always have to do this, but it is a good general principle to treat yourself and conduct yourself in a way that you would want to be treated. I'll end this off with a saying actually that I got from, I forget exactly, I think I got it actually out of Russ's book. If you're familiar with the rapper Russ, he wrote a book called It's All in Your Head. Amazing book. It's only maybe 2 hours for the audiobook. I listened to the audiobook, but it's amazing. And what he says in it is that his mom, I think it's his mom, is a certified life coach. And what she says is, you should treat yourself like you would treat your child. Are you treating yourself like you would treat your child? And I think we can definitely agree. I think you can definitely agree with me that if you're telling your child how to act, you say, honey, act like a king or queen. I should be gender neutral in this. Act like a king, queen, or royal they. That's what we could say. Royal it, non-gender specific. Act like a royal thing. Anyways, you would tell them, you know, conduct yourself like you're a fucking king. You know, you are to me. That's the way I see you. So act like it. Why are you not giving that same advice to yourself? If you think about what it would mean if you were to treat yourself like your own kid, what would that actually look like? I think you'd be very surprised by how you would treat yourself if that was the case versus what you're actually doing right now and how you're treating yourself. So keep that in mind. I think that plays in perfectly, and that's the best way to end this that I can possibly think of. So that said, I hope you got a ton of value out of this one. This is one I really enjoyed when I was prepping for this, because I'll go through and I'll briefly listen to a couple of the chapters before I shoot these videos. As I was prepping for this, I literally posted just the text of this law, you know, Law 34, you know, act like a king to be treated like a king, whatever it is. I posted it on my Instagram because I think it's so critical to get people to understand that this is really important. It's something that you have to cultivate proactively, because nobody's gonna tell you to do it. Nobody's gonna say, you should act like a king. If you wanna be treated like a king, you should act like it. They're gonna say, no, sit down, shut up, and be a good boy or girl. That's what we're being told from everyone all around us. So I think it's extremely important to share these messages of, yo, if you want to be empowered and you want to feel empowered, give yourself permission to be empowered. You have to go first. That's a principle of hypnosis. You have to convince yourself and be all 100% bought into yourself first before anyone else can buy into you. So that said, buy into yourself. I want to thank you for your attention. If you would help me in spreading and sharing this message, I would love for you to share this video with a friend, like it, comment, let me know what you thought, and definitely subscribe to the channel. Amazing way to help me is to hit the subscribe button and the bell next to it. So that said, I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for your attention. Peace.